insightful panel. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to discover with you. We have Rayan. Rayan, do you want to turn your camera on from Pulpo AR? Hi.
Hello, everyone.
We have Dominique and we have Teresa. If you want to, do you want to turn your camera on, Teresa? Hi.
Fantastic. Did we lose Marta?
I think so. But we'll she'll come back in if she's available.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm
going to drop out and I'm going to listen to you, but I'm really excited to hear what you all have to say. Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful. Well, it's so lovely to be speaking to you all here today at Digital Fashion Week, New York, talking about the intersection of fashion and technology. And I know we have a fantastic presentation from Rayan from Pulpo AR today that we're really excited to get into. I collected a few questions that I want to ask you all, and we're just going to kind of move right through it because I know we have about 45 minutes to discuss. So if you can keep everything as concise and detailed, but concise and brief as possible, I'd love that. So I want to start with going around from each person. If you could give us an introduction and a brief description of what it is that you do. We can popcorn this. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Should I start? So I'm Rayan Godoi. I'm based in Brazil, São Paulo, and I'm the co-founder of Pulpo AI. And what we do is basically our long-term vision is to merge the physical and virtual worlds together using virtual reality. And we are starting doing this by launching our AR shopping experiences, what we call. So I have a presentation after we make the introduction of everyone. I will be glad to share what it is and how it's changing the fashion and all the retails actually.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah, we're going to segue right into that as soon as we hear from Teresa and then Dominique.
Okay. Hello. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Teresa Majid. I am the co-founder and CEO at Rise AD, an art-inspired eyewear brand. Our mission is to inspire confidence through artistic and colorful eyewear and build community through creative expression. Happy to be here.
I love that.
Hi, my name is Dominique Renee, and I am the designer of a 3D printed line of jewelry and accessories. My pieces are a sassy exploration of life, love, and loss. And my collections are brought to life by music.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining us, Rayan, Teresa, Dominique. Rayan, why don't we go right into your demonstration? I'm very fascinated by what you said so far, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this demonstration. We'll yield the floor to you.
Sure, let me share my screen with you guys. Looks like I can't. I need permission from the host.
Okay, fantastic. Claire, if you would be able to permit the screen share for Rayan, we're going to see the demonstration.
I try again, Rayan. I just
It's down here now. I guess you guys are seeing that.
Yes.
Okay, so we are Pulpo AI. So again, we are really happy to be here. I try to go very fast and just stop where the value really is, because I believe the richness is in the conversation actually. So what our aim is to transform the retail experience with our augmented shopping technology. So what it looked before the COVID and why we developed this is because there are some frictions in the shopping process, either in the in-store or online or offline stores that we can shop to. So the first one is consumers, they are not too confident to buy new products online because they cannot try it. The second one is the cost of returned products. They are increasing, especially now in times of the pandemic. The second is the product discovery. It's not a rich experience in the online stores. Another friction and pain for the brands are the testers and samples cost, production and distribution actually. And inside of the store, there are also some frictions concerning to try on. when trying a wide range of products, especially for makeup, for example. When a woman wants to go to the makeup store and try, let's say, a combination of lipstick, eyeshadows, different colors, it's usually not possible to do this. So there's some frictions. And also for the fashion, for the clothing, if you want to try different combinations of t-shirts and trousers, this is actually really complicated and takes a lot of effort and time. And also, there's been a hard time to create innovative advertising and creating ways to reduce the customer acquisition cost. And also hard time to differentiate your brand in the online channels. And after the COVID, some of the pains we see is we have some hygienic concerns and concerns in touching the products in the store. And also there's been a quick change, a shift from the offline to the online stores. This might change again when the stores reopen and people feel confident to go on the streets, but there will be some impact that will be less lasting for a while. So let's jump in here. So here's just a basic about the technology. So augmented reality works with artificial intelligence, computer vision, and we put on top of the computer vision, we put a layer of virtual assets. And we do face tracking, hand tracking, and object tracking to understand the real image and place virtual assets on top of it. So here's just an idea of what can happen is you can upload a picture of you or use your camera to see products on you in real time. We can do this with makeup. Here is an example how in the left picture you can see a person wearing the real product. And on the right, you can see a virtual product being wear, the same product. So we see that we can achieve up to 80% of realism, unless you have a very clinical eye to see the difference in the color. It's very realistic. So we can also do for eyewear or for the fashion, for the clothing. For the clothing, we see that the technology is not mature enough to make all the dynamics of wearing a t-shirt, for example. It changes on the body size of the person, but we believe that in 5 years, the technology will be much more mature for this. Right now, what we see for the fashion, it's for the photo try-on. You take a picture of you, and then we can place virtual assets on top. But for the real time, it's a little bit complicated yet. Here's an example. It's a very short video to show you how it would work for the jewelry, for example, when you can try it. So just an idea, there's research that was released by Global Web Index, and in US and UK, already 22% of consumers of makeup, they are expecting the brands to deliver the virtual try-on experience for them, either in store and online. This is actually surprising. 22% of consumers are actually aware of this technology already, and they want to use this technology in their shopping journey. And we see that at least 85% of the global makeup brands, they are already adopting this kind of technology, and they see the results already. So what we see is that the makeup industry, they were the first one to adopt. So they were the very early adopters. And we see other industries coming as well, like sunglasses, hats, or watches, jewelry. We see everyone adopting this kind of technology. Here's some of the benefits. We can amplify the discovery. So for example, when someone goes to the store, they can try more products and faster. So this improves and enhances a lot the discovery phase. Also, we increase the shop cart of the person. We see that people who goes with the virtual try-on journey, they have a larger shop cart value. We reduce samples for the cost for the samplers. For example, in a makeup store, they usually have samplers just for a few categories and few products. With the virtual try-on, they can make the virtual or the try-on experience more broader for all the products, for example, cheaper. We enhance the consumer experience. For example, we know that at least 50% of consumers, they would like to avoid going to stores, especially in these times. So giving them ability to try products online, it's really great. And another thing we see is that women, they report that the shopping experience for makeup is really poor, especially for hygiene. We can get better customer analysis and data from this kind of experience. We can, collect the whole journey, see the products they like, do retargeting. We can collect if they accept the opt-in. We can collect some demographics, like it's a woman, what is the range of the age, all these kind of things, and supply for the brands this kind of information. And especially right now with the COVID situation, we can adapt to touchless solutions. So the integration and this kind of technology, they can be delivered in multi-channels. The first one is smart screens, so they can be placed in store or in a shopping mall in multiple venues. It can be delivered online in websites or e-commerce in general, and as well in the apps. So it's it's also helping the companies with their omni-channel strategies. This is some of the brands we already work with. We have some global brands and franchise stores. For example, Lojas Renner in Brazil, they are the largest fashion retailers in the country. We have Sephora, MAC, and other brands as well. So guys, that's it. I try to keep this very short, and then we enrich the conversation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ryan, for sharing that. I do want to pitch to that real quick. If anyone wants to chime in with any thoughts about this particular technology and how it's changing the way that people would shop or that brands would present their products to the consumer.
Yeah, I'll chime in. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was great, Ryan. I think especially like in the eyewear industry, which you mentioned, that's definitely something that's becoming more of a focus. And we've actually been, talking about it a lot, especially, from last year moving into this year. We moved all of our like retail direct to consumer to e-commerce. So, and we actually sent out a questionnaire to our customers to ask them what is like the biggest challenge, like during the pandemic, as far as our brand is concerned. And that was the biggest one, was as far as not being able to try on our eyewear. So.
Yeah. Dominique, do you have any particular thoughts so far?
Yeah, I thought that like the jewelry demo was like super cool. And what I do isn't very traditional. So I feel like for me, it could be even more beneficial because my pieces are more unique. And I know sometimes people see them and they're like, okay, but like, how would I look in them? Or like, how could I style it? So I just think it's dope. I was kind of blown away. So yeah.
That's fantastic. Would you say you have, actually, let me rephrase this. How do we see our consumers? So we've got the technology side of things, right? As designers, as individuals who own jewelry brands and make the actual products that people will be buying, how do we feel about the trajectory or the opportunity to integrate this as we move into a more open world, like post-COVID type of situation? What are your thoughts maybe with the current customer base that you have and how they would interact with this technology as the world opens back up?
I think they would still interact with it a lot. I think for me, especially because I have like a broad range of people who like my stuff. So like, there's some people with like where my pieces are, like I have, places in the city that carry my pieces, where they could go and they could try on and they could see. But like, I had a customer reach out to me not that long ago from the UK, and she's like, oh, like, is there anywhere like in the UK that sells your stuff? Like, so I think like, for me, especially because I have people all over, I think that would definitely enrich their experience because like they can't just go to their local retailer and try it on, So I definitely think that even post-COVID, it would still be something that my customers or, potential customers would respond to well.
Yeah, I love that note. Well, Ryan, we are super excited to see where this technology goes and how it will bring more people together. Even as the world opens back up and we get to reconnect in person, there's so much tremendous value to this technology. I'm going to continue the conversation where we're talking to Marta. You move easily between the digital and physical worlds with your accessory designs. Are these two worlds parallel or do they overlap?
Cairo, I don't think we have.
I just asked a question to Marta. That's fine. You know what? We're going to move on.
Marta's not with us at the moment.
I don't know what just happened. Okay, so let's move on from that question. So we have Teresa and Dominique here. So we'll skip over that one. What is your experience with the digital world so far? What is your current interaction with AR? And how do you think it would benefit your brand? So a little similar to some things we've been talking about, but also a little bit different.
So for me, all my stuff is 3D printed. So I use computer aided design software to actually bring all my designs to life. I mean, I would say, like, I guess I'm piggybacking on what I already said about AR. I definitely think that it would be really, really cool to be able to like have access, to be able to use that. And like, I would probably spend like the first day just playing with it myself, but to be able to like have the opportunity to give my customers the ability to like, like see what it would look like or like how it would like, so yeah. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I definitely think that it would be very useful.
Yeah, I 100% see that. Getting excited about like having your product in this digital catalog that people can try on. I would play with that all day, of course.
Yeah.
Teresa, what are your thoughts? What is your experience in the digital world and your use with AR, and how do you interact with it?
Yes, so with our brand, we work with a lot of artists. So with the collaborations that we do, we actually, go into their space and we work with them to actually digitize whatever the images are that we're going to use. So some are paintings, some are photographs, even with the fashion designers that we work with. So we digitize their actual prints and the designs that they create. So it's actually something that we've been talking about as far as now creating that purely in a digital space, because we're like doing it from reality and then taking it into the digital space to create the frames. But yeah, I think it would be kind of cool, like just like Dominique said, to be able to see our eyewear, because like even the glasses I have on today, like this is one of our optical pairs, but I would never wear a red pair of glasses probably prior to launching our brand. And a lot of our customers, because people get comfortable in their like comfort zone of like the black, brown, and tortoise frames. So for us, it's just like fun. And it's cool to see people that wouldn't normally like, venture out there. But like Dominique said, for customers that are not in your immediate physical space or in the country, then it actually helps them too. And then we have people that come, like if we're doing pop-ups or whatever, we're in a retail location where they want to buy a gift, but they don't know like what colors, what designs the person would like, what would look good on them. So I would definitely see AR being a definite plus.
Yeah, I love the note that you made about the color of your glasses, that you wouldn't have worn that beforehand. And forgive me, there's, I guess it's midday traffic over here. So one thing that stuck out to me about that is that consumers, when they even go out into public spaces, there's still that, oh, I would never go for that. And then they're in a public forum. Whereas if you're in your home, you're in your room, your own like sanctuary, you can try anything. You can go wild, and then you have this opportunity. You don't have to worry about the hygiene. You don't have to worry about being in a public space, and it's much more intimate in a way. I think it will be freeing for a lot of people. So I'm really excited to see the future of this. And I actually want to turn it over to Ryan. What is the feedback that you're getting from the brands that use your tools? And how does Pulpo AR, am I pronouncing that correctly? Pulpo AR, how does your brand intersect with social media, Zoom, and the massive amount of time we are now spending seeing ourselves on screen?
So let me start with the feedback from the brands. So initially, the brands, they were thinking that the AR would replace the try-on of the physical products. And what they saw actually is that it's more like a support tool. For example, the makeup brands or the beauty brands, what they see in the physical store is that the AR helps to perform what Teresa was saying, like the product discovery. So how can I try different products and discover new things? So for example, the journey in the store is a person goes there to buy makeup and the sales consultant is showing new products, but the person is not trying. She's probably not going to try a green lipstick unless it's a person who is already used to do that. So, but with the AR tool, the person can try these and can try multiple combinations, a green lipstick with a, blue eyeshadow or something. And then once the person finds the nice look she wants to have, then she moves to the final stage. And this is where the sales conversion will happen, is when they choose one look and they try the physical product, just to have the feel and touch, to see if the texture is fine, if it spreads nice on the skin. So the brands, they realize that actually the AR is not replacing the try-on of the physical product, but is supporting in the discovery of new products. And this is happening in the e-commerce as well. So what they see is that a person who is able to try a look in the e-commerce, they are more often buying a combination of products instead of buying just one lipstick. Now they are buying the lipstick and the eyeshadow, the combination. So it's increasing the shop cart as well. So these are the main feedbacks. And sorry, going to the next step, you said the conversion or the how it merged together with the social media, right? So we can deliver this exactly the same experience to the social media using the filters they have. And as well for the streaming platforms like Zoom, for example, we have customers, it's a beauty brand again. The majority of our customers, they are from the beauty because early adopters, So what they did during the pandemic, they created the filters so people could use the makeup, just the virtual makeup, to go for online meetings, for example. And also we have brands, for example, we have a brand in Canada, Cheekbone Beauty. Their consumers, some of the consumer or the people who wish to buy the brand, they didn't have the money to do so, but they were able to wear the digital makeup and use this and post in the social media. So it was, a big engagement for the brand and the consumer. And maybe in the future, this consumer will turn out to be actually client of the brand. So it's an experience that can be delivered in all these channels, Zoom, and we have some case. For example, Nike is launching a new pair of shoes that will be only digital. So people will buy the digital shoe, take pictures and place in the social media, for example. They will not have the real product in the real life.
That is a fantastic note to close that on. I'm curious to know just what everyone's thoughts are on this. Is AR for everyone? Does it need to be something that everyone's involved in? Are there people who would not be involved in AR as consumers or brands? And what should designers consider before moving into AR? I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna put my legal hat on for a second, because I know there's a lot of conversations out there as far as your intellectual property and the rights and retaining those rights, like copyright, trademark, the rights to your design. So for a fashion designer, like if they're like converting their patterns and their designs into a 3D, three-dimensional, and someone, there's a third party doing that, then they just have to make sure that they're retaining their IP, because once it goes to that 3D form, like it's like still early on, but people say that then that copyright transfers to the 3D, the company or whoever is doing that transformation for that particular product. It's kind of like with music, like when someone covers a popular song, the cover version of that song, now the person that covers it actually owns that recording of it. They just don't own the underlying copyright if they're not using their own original lyrics. But that's the best analogy I can give.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Dominique, what are your thoughts?
I think that, like, from a designer standpoint, I think that's like, I don't think I can answer for everybody. Like, you know what I mean? I think it kind of depends on what you're designing and stuff. I think when you turn it to, like, I think you said, would it be for every customer? I think that was part of your question. And I feel like, no, because nothing is for every customer. I think that it's something that I would definitely consider doing, because I see the value in it. And I feel like for a good amount of my customer base, they would use it. But do I think all of my customers, like, no, but that's not true of anything. But to backtrack a little bit, another thing that I had thought of that's really cool is, like, in my design process, I end up printing a lot, because, like, you come up with an idea, but sometimes you don't get the sizing just right, or sometimes you don't get, so I think AR would be really cool because it would aid in that as well. But yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely want to make space for you, Ryan, if you have any additional thoughts on who this is for and what brands or designers should consider before entering this space.
So, I'll say what is my short-term vision for this and what is my long-term vision. I completely agree with Dominique. I think nothing is for everybody. But I do believe that in the future, we'll have a lot of people using this. And we need some enablers to make this to become a reality and spread to more people. And one of these enablers is the hardware. So one thing that it might be a game changing in the future is the development of smart glasses. And Facebook is working on it, Apple is working on it. And it will be kind of, maybe in 15 years, I don't know, kind of Minority Report. I will look at Dominique with my smart glasses, and she will be wearing the jewelry that she chose to be wearing, but it's virtual. If I remove my glasses, she's wearing nothing, or she's wearing something different, but with my glasses. And even there are some companies, they are developing contact lenses that they place virtual assets directly on your retina, on your eye. So, but we're talking about 15 years from now. Right now, what I see is that also in 15 years, keeping in 15 years, I believe that everyone will be a designer. I will be designing my own glasses, and I will do the design. There will be a studio. So Teresa will provide me a studio, a tool. I will design my glass. I will virtually try these on. I say, okay, this looks nice on me. I will click, and it will be 3D printed to me. And so, we are talking about 15 years or maybe 20 years. In the short term, what I see is that, like, the use case of Dominique, for example, is perfect. AR is great to support on checking how it's going. Is it good enough for me to launch, or I need to make some tweaks here and there? And especially for accessories that they are still, for example, glasses or clothes, they change their forms. So it's a little bit hard to work with it. But sunglasses, they don't change the form as I move my head, or the rings, they don't change the form as well. Even though we have some really nice physics in the technology, they can simulate the movements as very well. For clothing, it will take a while yet. But for steel products like hats or watch or rings, I think it's a reality right now. So I think the designers, they should be considering to work with it right now, because this is the reality. Even though the beauty are the largest, consumers of this kind of technology, we see that other industries are coming as well.
Yeah, I think those are a lot of really great notes that y'all have brought up about just how effective AR is going to be for the general public, and as well as what we need to be considering as designers. I love your note about everyone being a designer. We can see all of these different brands that are pushing to encourage people to customize their own experience. And it's slowly shifting. I literally saw, as you were speaking, I'm thinking about different areas of design outside of even fashion and jewelry, how the world is moving towards a choose your own path, design your own experience, right? So I'm very excited to see where that's going to go in this world of digital fashion and AR. And those smart glasses also really stand out to me. I'll be thinking about that a little bit. I was thinking about the Google glasses that we once had, but I'm excited to see what we're going to come out with in the 10 to 15 year window as well. So we have a little bit of time left. I'm going to ask I have two more questions that I'm going to ask, and these are for everyone. What is the role of sustainability in your work? How has it looked in the past? How does it look now? And what does it look like in the future for you?
Maybe I can start. So we see that ours is helping a lot for the sustainability. For example, testers. There are tons, millions of testers being distributed everywhere, every day, and the technology helps to avoid this kind of product going there. It's a lot of packaging. Usually when you consider the proportion of product and packaging, the testers, they're awful. It's very little product and a lot of packaging. So we support in reducing this kind of waste very well. And also what we do is when we are working with the customers, we try to use the hardwares that already exists in the store, for example. Instead of buying new hardware, we try to integrate to existing hardwares. So we don't have also to come with new stuff and produce new things and new ways. So we believe that this kind of technology supports a lot in this sustainability.
I love that note. That is definitely a big issue. When you mentioned that earlier in your presentation, I was thinking, I wonder how much packaging. I actually never knew, but it's a lot, it seems. So yeah, fantastic impact on the industry. Teresa?
That was a good point, Rayan, about the packaging, because it wasn't something that I really thought a lot about until we started the eyewear company, because packaging is like everything. But then in our industry, because of the mass production of eyewear, because there's not, domestic production is almost impossible unless you talk about 3D printing, but then there's a lot of costs involved with that as well. And there's waste involved with pretty much everything. So for us at our company, we use recycled polycarbonate for our frames. And then we also do, I think if companies did more like manufacturing on demand, if they could, but then what happens is the consumer also needs to understand that that means that the cost is going to be higher, because it's higher for the small brands, the independent brands. So then, it becomes a little more costly for the consumer. However, it's going to eliminate a lot of waste by being able to do those things. And that can be anywhere from fashion. You may just have to wait a little bit longer. And hopefully during this past year, if it's helped us with anything, it's with our patients. So I definitely think that's something that we just have to educate the consumers to understand that everything is not going to be like Amazon, everything's at your door, like same day, next day. So.
Yeah, I love all those notes. Dominique, what are your thoughts?
Yes, so all of my pieces are made to order for the most part. The plastic that I actually create my jewelry with is biodegradable. It's actually made from cornstarch. And then the metals that I use are all like ethically sourced. And in terms of the future, I would say like as I start to venture more into using finer materials, I am really interested in the upcycled route, even with some of the gemstones. So it's definitely something that I think about. Yeah.
Yeah, I love where you're able to make sure that things are, like you mentioned, it being biodegradable, the plastics that you use, and also just kind of the future where you're going to be heading into some finer pieces. That's really exciting. And having that consciousness about how you source those stones and how you bring that into your practice is really important. And I'm hoping that there are some designers who are learning some new things, watching this, who are thinking about things with their own brand and how they can access more sustainable options today. The last question I have, we have about 4 minutes left. What is your vision for the fashion industry? What are your thoughts on the aspects of community and representation in particular, how it is and how it should be, and what can we do to make the industry better for everyone?
I think the fashion industry has come a long way, but I think it still has a very long way to go. I think that in terms of community, specifically, I feel like I'm somebody who, went to school I did go to school for art, but I didn't go to school for fashion. So I kind of entered into this industry not knowing a lot. And I feel like there's like no transparency to me, like for the most part. I feel like there's a lot of unknowns about fashion. So I think as a community, if we're just more transparent, if we share more of our experiences, if we share because I feel like people just tend to get a glimpse of things, but they don't really understand okay, wow, she just did this, but how did she do that? And I'm not saying that we need to give people the blueprint, but I think that just being more transparent so that there isn't so much of a learning curve. Whether you go to school for fashion or not, there's still going to be a learning curve. So that's what I think about community. As far as representation, I just think that 2020 to me was a good year for there being more representation, but I feel like from what I saw, a perfect example would be a lot of these big magazines or online resources came out with okay, well, 20 Black owned brands to support, or person of color brands, or whatever the case. But a lot of times they were the same 20. So I feel like representation should exist on all levels. So it shouldn't just be the people who are maybe somewhat at the top of their game that maybe you just haven't heard about. It should be people at all different levels. And I think that's just something that is, gonna take more work for everyone. But those are my thoughts, and those are the things that I would like to see change.
Yeah, I love those. Ryan, you unmuted. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so talking about, diverse and representativeness, our job is really important. When we make the computer vision, the computer has to recognize the person in the image, and we definitely don't want to let anyone behind. So, it's really important for our technical teams to train the computer to recognize everyone, be it a Black person, a white person, an Asian, a Brazilian, the whole races in the world. And if we don't do this, we let the machines to have bias, and this is really bad. So we have a very, very important role when we develop this kind of technology. And when we go for fashion, what I would say it's shifting from technology, fashion has a key role for the diversity. because they somehow they have a power to shape what the opinion we have about what is beautiful and what's not. And I'm really glad that here in Brazil we see a big shift in this. The big brands, they are making products for everyone. They are promoting, and this is changing how people look to each other on the streets. And I think fashion has one of the major roles in this kind of initiatives that we need to have.
Yeah, I agree. So well put. I think there's like alarms going off over here or sirens, and it's just kind of like a wake up call as we're kind of talking about these situations and sharing our perspectives. Teresa, what are your thoughts on the fashion industry? What's your vision? How can we improve what's been going on?
I think in just, hearing what Dominique had to say about, all those lists, especially last year, one thing that I've realized in working with other independent brands is that there are a lot of independent brands doing a lot of cool things that don't get the recognition. And I think if we collaborate more and share in each other's markets, because it's hard for independent brands to compete with major brands. We don't have the marketing dollars, we don't have the ad spend, we don't have the reach. So, and then with collaborations and also just diversity, like diversity is good for everyone in every industry, because you get differing opinions, you just get to, I think, just different perspectives. And I think it's just great for not just our economy, but for the global economy.
Yeah, I love those notes. I love how we've kind of wrapped this all together, where we're looking to be more transparent and to build more community through collaboration. I know at my brand, we build everything on a foundation of self-exploration is what I call it. And so being able to look at yourself and be completely honest and vulnerable with yourself in your own space, in your own brand, and then to share that as a light for others. And as you gain momentum, that you bring other people with you, that you build that community, I think that's going to be a really powerful and transformative experience, especially at the intersection of fashion and technology. I want to thank you all for coming on here today. Claire's come back. I'm going to hand it back over to her. This has been a fantastic panel discussion. Thank you all so much.
That was really amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. I just have one, Ryan, I don't know if you can give us in just a couple of seconds, we had somebody asking to do a quick recap on the effects of AR from your slideshow. Could you, like in a couple of sentences, recap on that?
From what, sorry?
From your presentation. Somebody was asking about what AR affects. I'm not entirely sure. That's the information.
So the impact for the industry, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So the main feedback that we are having from from our customers, the brands, is that AR is helping a lot in the product discovery. This is where AR is coming into play. So together with the discovery, there are other benefits as well. For example, reducing costs with samplers, or reduction of products that they are purchased online and they are sent back because there was not a fit with the consumer. And so there's reduction of cost, but the major impact that we are seeing is that the product discovery, it's much more rich with the consumer. They try different products. They find new products they were not searching for, and they can try this. For example, for the beauty, they can try multiple combinations of makeup colors, a green lipstick with a blue eyeshadow, for example. Like Kiro said, a person normally would not try this in the physical store or wearing the physical product. So this is where the impact is being made. And what it's causing is, it causes two things: a high time of the user spent on the screen, and this increases one of the very key metrics for e-commerce, which is the screen value. And the second thing is it's increasing the value of the shop cart, because now the consumers, they are discovering new products and they are adding to the shop cart together with a anchor product, for example.
Thank
So
you.
if anyone would like to listen more, I'm available. You have all my contacts, so I will be happy to go further.
Wonderful. Thank you. This was an amazing conversation. Ryan, thank you. Dominique
you.
and Teresa, that was incredible. Your work is beautiful. And Teresa, I love that you gave us some legal advice.